Before going into the topic details, I want to bring your attention to the UPSC coaching programs offered by ClearIAS. ClearIAS offers online and offline courses to help candidates get selected for prestigious government services like IAS, IPS, or IFS. ClearIAS, Prelims cum Mains, PCM course, provides a highly effective study plan, well-organized subject-wise videos, study materials, mock exams, and guidance to cover the entire GS syllabus of UPSC CSE Prelims, Mains, and Interview systematically. As a limited-period offer, there is a 40% discount on our online courses. Enroll now.
Fiscal policy, as I said, is not entirely connected with inflation targeting, but that is also one of the objectives of fiscal policy. But it's steps taken by the government of India. So let's initially focus on fiscal policy and how it is connected with inflation. We have seen that the Reserve Bank of India has the capacity to control inflation or bring down inflation by increasing the rates, interest rates. We have seen that bank rates, they can increase. Similarly, how can the government of India control inflation? What can they do to control inflation? From their end, what can they do? They can give subsidies, they can give incentives, then what else? Government can issue government securities. Through that also they can control inflation. There are different means by which they can control it. You are absolutely right. Government can issue government securities. That is also, there are ways by which government can also suck liquidity from the market. Ultimately, we have to suck liquidity from the market, right? If everybody is having too much money in their hands, definitely too much money will be chasing few goods and few services. Then there will be inflation. So the primary concept is that liquidity from the market should be sucked up. RBI can play a part to suck the liquidity from the market. Similarly, government can also take some steps to suck the liquidity from the market. But from the end of government can also take some steps connected with taxes. Government is the one who introduces taxes, right? So now we will study about taxes as such. What are the two types of taxes? Major two heads of taxes. Correct. There can be direct tax and there can be indirect tax. There can be direct tax and there can be indirect tax. So, can you give some examples of direct taxes? Income tax is a direct tax. And can you give some example of indirect tax? GST is a indirect tax, right? So, are you a taxpayer? Everybody is a taxpayer. Everybody is a taxpayer. Every Indian has to pay tax. You may not be paying direct taxes, but you will be definitely paying indirect taxes. Whether you buy a soap, whether you buy a toothpaste, we are actually paying taxes. For every item we buy, we will be paying tax. So we are actually contributing to the growth of an economy, thing like this. So we are actually buying something. Okay, we need a soap. But instead of the soap, along with buying the soap, we are actually paying the government also. We are buying a soap for 30 rupees. And the 2 rupees you have to give to the government. So for every item we are purchasing, we are paying the government also in the form of taxes. But these are indirect taxes. You are not actually giving it to the government. You are giving it to the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper has to give it to the government. So it's not a direct way of giving it to the government. The consumer is not, or the end person is not directly paying the government. You are giving it to a middleman and the middleman is handing it over to the government. That is why it is called indirect tax. Okay. But in case of direct tax, you are directly paying the government. So that is income tax. But in case of India, everybody may not need to pay income tax. So there are different tax slabs. And if you only fall in that tax slab, you need to pay income tax. For example, if the tax slab starts from 3 lakh rupees, so if your income is above 3 lakh rupees, you need to pay income tax. Okay. So there are different tax slabs and tax slab rates as well, accordingly. So it can go from 5% to 30% based on the tax slabs in India. And what can be the GST rates? Some items are taxed at 5%, some items are taxed at 12%, some at 18%, some at even 28%. And there are items with even lesser GST slabs. These are the major GST slabs, but 1%, 2% slabs are also there for GST, some items. Okay. So this can also questions connected with GST and direct tax. Definitely one question will be connected with taxes. It can be based on the trends in the collection of taxes. Which tax forms the major part of government budget, government share, and things like that. Such kind of questions will come. About the GST rates, question can come. Trends in rates can come. Questions can come from all these areas. But now, in the fiscal policy, we have to suck out liquidity from the market. Actually, we are trying to curb the increase in prices, right? So, let's say the price of a soap is 30 rupees. And let's say 5 is the GST on that. So, the total price, what is the total price? Let's say 35 is the total price of the soap. Okay. So, this 5 is indirect tax, which is GST. Correct? Are you getting my point? So, if the government is increasing the GST, what will happen? Instead of 5, if the government says that the GST rate is now 10 and the taxable value remains the same, what will be the price now? It will be 40. So, increase in indirect tax, is it helping to control inflation, reducing inflation, or increasing inflation? If the government is increasing the indirect tax rate, is it helping to control inflation, or is it working against inflation? It's not controlling inflation, it's working against. It's working against because previously the price was only 35. Actually, by controlling inflation, what should the government do? Government should try to bring down the price, right? Now the price is becoming 40. If the government is increasing indirect taxes, it will only help in adding more inflation. So the price will definitely increase. It will be 40. So if the government wants to control inflation with respect to controlling indirect taxes, government should only cut down indirect taxes, cut down rates of indirect taxes. Then the price will be, instead of, suppose it is 3 rupees instead of 5, it will be 33. So inflation is brought down, right? That is with respect to indirect taxes. With respect to direct taxes, you have to see in a different other perspective. A direct taxes is not based on the end value of a product. It is based on your income. Okay. Suppose Rahul's income is 5 lakhs per year. His income is 5 lakhs. Okay. So the income from 3 lakhs to 5 lakhs is taxable. So for that particular 2 lakhs, he has to pay, suppose he has to pay 10% income. I will give another example with respect to direct taxes. Okay. So we are discussing direct taxes here and its connection with inflation. So Rahul is there. Rahul's total income is 5 lakhs. The tax starts from 3 lakhs. Okay. The tax slab starts from 3 lakhs. So he has to pay for the 2 lakh rupees. He has to pay, suppose he has to pay 10% of it as tax. So he will be paying, what is 10% of 2 lakhs? 20,000. So he will be paying 20,000 as tax. No, tax. Okay. So if the government wants to control inflation through direct taxes, what will he do? The government will increase the tax from 10% to 20%. So instead of 20,000, he will be now paying rupees 40,000 as direct tax. So what will be his disposable income? In this case, he has 5 lakhs and he has paid 20,000 rupees as tax. So he has bought 4 lakhs 80,000 as his disposable income. In this case, the government has increased the tax here. So it is now 20%. So 40,000 is paid as direct tax, income tax. So his disposable income is now less. He has only 4,60,000 as his disposable income. So the liquidity is taken out. So both work in opposite ways. So coming back to the previous slide, so if the government wants to reduce inflation, what should they do with direct taxes? They should increase the direct taxes. And if the government wants to reduce inflation with respect to indirect taxes, what should they do? They should decrease the indirect taxes.